Okay, greetings. Thank you for joining us. Coming into New Year's Eve in 20 minutes. Pretty exciting. So it might take this path for going to tomorrow also. See how I feel about it. I'll just work with the energies, as they say. So ancient mythology, the gods are real. I don't know how to pronounce that. Chimera, whatever his name is. And the Griffin, Chimera, whatever how you pronounce. Basically, it's the what is it uh, the lion, and it's connected to a dragon head, and it's connected to all kinds of stuff. Anyway, either way, the ancient mythology might be a lot older than people realize. Of course, they're just going by what artifacts have been found, but these mythical beings are a lot older. Like, think of of course, use your own intuition and your own feelings about all this, but because it's complicated. You see all the ancient gods and all this, and if the gods didn't matter so much, why are there statues of them all over the place? Uh, is a reminder of how the world once was, like with China, India, and so on. Of course, the Greek gods, they tore a lot of that down, but they used to have huge statues of Zeus in the past, and they might have had some other ones, but either way. But think of like all these mythical beings, all these creatures, inhabited the earth, even the Gnostic, beings. Of course, the Gnostic gods, that's when a lot of the darkness came into the earth. Even Jesus came with it too. So, like a darker side of him at one time, that's always going to be a weird one. But but either way, it's the Gnostic energy is just showing the chaos coming. There already was chaos here. It's just that you can say chaos became more defined, whatever that means. Well, it went into the human. Of course, there are human gods in the past too. Of course, you have creatures and you have human gods. You have these gods with like 4 or 5 arms and 3 heads and all that. And I'll go into that in a second. This is nothing new for anybody. You just look them up. But all of this stuff was in the past, and it went into into us. And that's why our world is so chaotic. Is we're trying to figure ourselves out. How connected we are to the gods? Where some of us, those gods of the past, and some people are alien beings. Technically, they're all aliens. You can say these are like aliens on steroids. Compared to the Palladians, the Palladians are pretty dialed down compared to these guys. Of course, you can say there's some Palladian elements and Syrian and so forth, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just that the world was inhabited by all these different beings, good and bad, or neutral, whatever you want to look at it. And, if we're here to discover ourselves, that's where our heart of a lot of our connections are. Why things are so difficult to tap into in the past, it's because it's just deep. It's the beings didn't they all found themselves here, didn't know what to do with them. I would say partway didn't know what to do with themselves. There's different ways of looking at it. There's countless stories, but either way, we shut the world down so we can figure ourselves out. Something like that. We close it down from the universe so we can solve our problems. I've always had a difficult to believe that the human race is a kind of like a child race or a teen. There is some teenager things going here, that's for sure. But a lot of that's manipulation too. Not everybody. I mean, there's diverse energy. I mean, you can see higher dimensional beings are they're like children. They can be high vibrations, and they're calling us the kids when in truth they're the ones that are the kids. Because we're the ones going through all this, and most of them can't even handle what we're going through on a daily basis. So who's the kids and who are the adults? We might not realize we are the adults because of how much we're being hit. Yeah, because we're getting hit by everything, obviously. So yeah, they call humanity like the child race and all of that, or the children or whatever. I forgot what the terminology was, but when just not buying into that. I mean, if you hit a world of all this negativity, it's just always going to be complicated. So dive in a little bit. Some connection. Give you a little bit of update first. Avatar.com, our private sessions. God, this thing is slow. Come on. The schedule here, the shop, I'm on the 15th, I think. Same situation here. We have the webinar. Sign up, social network, behind the scenes. And into the big. So you have the Griffin. It's basically a mixture of the bird and the feline. And I just believe all these are older than. I mean, not everything's ancient, but most of these beings are pretty old. So they call it fantasy, but it's basically, we come here to sort out our differences. So just allowing more of these memories to come back of what, there was always humans here in some form. And of course, then you have your superpowered humans that are just on steroids, basically. And you have just a different, I mean, I wouldn't call it like a hybrid race, but it's kind of like that. I think there's other terminologies of it. Basically, just the universe experimenting, which is kind of messed up. Jeez. Yeah. Of course, you have China with all, I mean, they say it's no big deal, but yeah, in China, for example, this is stuff. They take all this they don't take it lightly. So why put all this effort into something that's just a myth? Because it's more than that. And unlocking all this isn't the easiest, but that's what we're here to do. Little by little, not to, we have to, take it easy, but for now. And the humanoid beings that are here. I mean, talk about a reality that's just, high. just everything imaginable. I mean, you have enough arms there. It's like, jeez. But this is pretty much our past. And then you have the Gnostic energies, this is the India. I mean, the vibration just from this. I mean, there is some archon energy there, but it's also just diversity. Just like the being is trying to find a different type of identity. Like it wants, what I get from Brahma is like it wants all identities. It wants to be everything. And so we go into a human where we're just one identity, you can say technically. Something like that. That's right. I was going to go through some of this. The Griffin is just, once again, diverse connections. Just, wants to explore like its body or explore its soul progression. What can it add to itself? How far can it go? And that's what you get. When you get here, this is more of the feline and the darker tones that are coming in. Just, releasing some control, or is like a being that's out of control, you can say. What is that? Just, I mean, you take this and you put it into a human form, and it's like somebody with multiple personalities, you could say. So even the dragon just has kind of like an elitist energy, but also a energy of to give us direction. I mean, there is a kind energy there, but also, you know, like a wise, entity there. Of course, the Gnostic energies, the was it Demiurge, whatever they call it, Demiurge. Yeah, that one's a little bit more selfish. But yeah, just the Gnostic energy is just to bring in. Well, there's already chaos here, just defining it a little bit better. So it's just unraveling the energies within yourself. Not the easiest, of course. So tap into the Arcturian energies. Yeah, a lot of those beings are Arcturian, especially like India with the 3 or 4 arms energies. There's some, it's not all Arcturian, but it's partly. It's like to bring life into the physical. Of course, a lot of those beings are non-physical, so they came into the physical over time. But it's just, yeah, it's like a lot of them found themselves here. Like they don't even know how they got here. They're like attracted to its energy as something new. Like the earth was like lighting up for them to visit, something around those lines. And then they seeded their energy here through us, to make life even more complicated. It's like, yeah, it's like, how are we gonna? It's basically a form of channeling. It's just allowing the past to start to emerge. Like, what are you allowed to? Because a lot of society is programmed to look a different way. It's not all reptilian, but a lot of it is. But it's not all. It's not all of them. It's just, it's keep us shut down because we're not always ready to see what's here. Because it's deep. It's because we're going to history goes back into our origins, and some of the origins, some might not want that to be unlocked, but you don't see society looking at that like on a worldwide. You don't see the whole world looking at that. I mean, they might go to a museum and say that's nice. That's about it. It's like, where do you look for? It's complicated. So I feel like I can connect to some of the Arcturian energies, and we're going to Chimera, or whatever you call it, Chimera. I guess that's what it's called. Basically, the feline and the dragon connected. Jeez, whatever it might be on that. And then we're going to the Griffin at the last. Okay. So yeah, the cats got from their 12 hours nap, and now they're roaming around. So they're not in the background. So okay, yeah, just basically unlocking our inner secrets, and then the rest of the world will start to become more clear. Doesn't mean that the whole world has to do it, just little by little, because, like I said, it's pretty deep. It's just a lot of traumas. You can say the world got overloaded with too much, so it kind of downgraded itself into the at least in the physical, just for us to figure things out. It's like the past was like always, look at all these voices going at once. Everyone wanted their say here, so they wanted to the human to figure it all out. We haven't figured anything out yet, but every day is a different. There's just a lot here to unravel. It's like spiritual archaeology. Yeah, it's even some of these spiritual groups, and that's the thing, that are some of these large spiritual groups. This is nothing new I talked about before. Some of them, they come off positive, but some of them are really some demonic shit, like evil. Like they don't see themselves as evil, but some of them are really evil, just like the church. But there is in the spiritual community, like the New Age group. And I don't think they're evil because they tell themselves that, but they might be doing a lot of evil and not seeing it that way. It's like, you might see what I'm doing as evil, but I see myself as, a god or whatever, always positive. So that's what's happening right now. And they use their sorcery in the past to, take over people and to create the groups that they have, and they have that energy here today. There's some powerful sorcery happening right now, and it might be a little bit much for some to take in. So yeah, anyway, it's complicated. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of magic going on, witchcraft. Just we're not always meant to know everything, but little by little. So if little by little, some of this will start to come into the light. I'm not sure how slow. Patience is everything. So okay, all right, blessings. Greetings. We are the Arcturians. A lot of spirit beings wanted to know how it felt like to be a physical being. But for them to come into the physical, they had to bring their astral self into your reality. So some might have 3 or 4 arms. Of course, you have your creature beings that actually many of them were already physical here. Your griffins have been physical. So think about your animals as a physical creation, even your dinosaurs, as you know. Of course, those timelines are, yes, all over the place, but it doesn't really matter. Well, your mythical beings are here before your dinosaur beings. So you can say when your dinosaurs are being brought here, it was defining your timeline. It's like a reset. Mythology beings disappeared for a while. They went into the Earth's energy. You had your dinosaur period, and then your mythical beings came back, you can say. With the human, of course, the humans, we say technically they all never really left. There's different dimensions for them all to exist. But there are beings that are very excited to be a physical energy. But some of them had 4 or 5 arms. So they brought their knowledge here as the human was developing here, at least the modern human that you have today. So they're bringing their teachings here, as they're very extremely excited to be a part of this human development. Of course, I knew they had a lot to learn for themselves. So you as humans, many of you have seen these gods, of course. As a not necessarily as a primitive human, you might see it that way. Of course, there's a lot that's keeping a lot behind, a lot hidden. But you did have every human still had a multitude of talents. It was done in the physical, though. The reason why your magic and all that's been shut down, so you can become more physical, because you're here to learn the 3rd dimension. It is something called dumbing down, but also mastering the physical realms, where the spirit beings had difficult doing it. So it was always difficult to master a physical realm. There's always been conflict, of course, but it's an easy place to have conflict because you're not always seeing what's going on. So any type of physical world is being developed, at least with human life or any type of life for that matter, it's always going to be aware of some of chaos in some form. Some worlds have more than others. Obviously, your world has all the chaos because it is able to handle what it's going through. But all the alien energies that connected to your planet empowered it. It just wanted to learn from all these different species of this universe. So now you are here. Greetings. Greetings to you. Consciousness of Chimera, I guess that's about it. The lion essence with the dragon frequencies. We bring our energies to you we show, yes, an energy of chaos through our own species. Some species probably should not connect, but we do it anyway to learn from each other. So with a species with multiple personalities, they also create other family members to deal with them, or family members that are similar to him, or you are your father, you are your son, you are your daughter. You're all three of them, different versions of yourself. And sometimes they're the most toxic environments ever when you are your family. And that will become more clear on your planet soon enough. There's nothing like when a soul has to truly unravel itself. So why would a human want to have different versions of themselves in the same timeline? Well, it's to truly just to remove a side of themselves they cannot do in other realities. So if you have a toxic side of you, now you're dealing with a toxic self. That's in that person. You have a more kinder self, and you also have a more kind of the boss of all of it to dictate it, for you to sort things out. So it's not always going to make itself clear of your other versions of you. But that's quite it's not rare, it's just not spoken about here on your world, for various different reasons. So usually they need a quiet time for themselves to, they might not be able to connect to the outside world so much. But there have been connections with reptilians and the felines and countless other beings when they bring their DNA together. It's like, what were we thinking? And now we have done it. What do we do about it? So a lot of these creature beings that are experimenting with themselves, many of them are on Orion. So you wonder why Orion is as toxic, as some of us say, the cesspool as it's known to be, is because think of all the experimental situations been going on there. So someone has to do it. Well, some do it to get out of a situation. They use DNA to escape, just like some of you use food for escape. Some of us use DNA for escape, to connect this with a different being. Maybe this will make me happy if I add a reptilian to my DNA. Now I have someone to talk to. It doesn't always work out the way you'd like it to. So it's just a different experience. So as you would call creature beings are known to be the founders of your universe. And some of you have been there. Some of you have also been powerful human beings that don't need a planet to live on. You can live out in space. Of course, you're higher dimensional. You don't need a spaceship. Spaceships are quite primitive to many of you, but necessary to ground your energies. It's just a grounding, because you can get too powerful. You get so powerful, you can't stop. It's like you're turning to this light and you can't turn yourself off. It's like some of you go to sleep and you can't turn your minds off because you're used to being a higher frequency level. So being a human is just resetting yourself. It's like, do I need to be that being forever? Do I need to be this four-armed being in space doing magic all the time? Is there anything else I can do besides this? So you come to Earth to figure that out. So why so many souls get depressed here? Because they don't remember their godlike powers. But doesn't mean you need to reconnect to them completely, because that can cause a lot of difficulties. Like you have super breath all of a sudden, you can just blow everybody away. So it's reconnecting to your powers on different levels. So of course some are going to have difficulties with the reptilian beings that are shutting down your power, but actually just keeping the world leveled. So some might see it differently, but there's still a lot to be discovered. There's different points of view. Some of you might thank the reptilians for keeping the world the way it is, or some of you just despise them. It all depends on your point of view. Depends on where you're coming from. So for some of you that have been godlike beings, what's happening on this world is more appreciated than you might realize. Now, getting your word out is another story. That's where it gets difficult. Blessings. Greetings to you. We are the Griffins. We are known to be an early hybrid race of your universe, at least more easy to identify, where there's beings on your universe that can't even be figured out even today. Yes, many of them connected to the Archon, and you can't even decipher what they even are. So more of the Griffin became more defined. Yes, a feline being, a bird being. What else do you need? Keep it simple. Some might see us as primitive beings. The idea is to simplify creation so you can get a more understanding of where you're going, where you're coming from. So many alien beings of your past add so much DNA to themselves. They're like 10 different beings in one. And yeah, some have 3 faces, 4 faces, it goes on and on. Of course, they don't show up on your planet, but eventually they will through entertainment, most likely, so to get used to the idea. It doesn't mean you're going to start mutating in that energy anytime soon. But it's more remembering where you come from. It's not going to be easy. Finding your roots is not going to be the easiest thing because your roots aren't always made clear. It's not the There are levels of origin that doesn't always have to be obvious. Sometimes keeping origin hidden is for your own sake. You might know about your origins, a deep root origin, but can you function in this reality? Because it gets lonely. You know that you're a bird, half feline being. And who can you exactly tell that to? Is it going to really help anything? It's just going to make you more depressed and more crazy and more isolated than you already are before already. But if you can share it with others or feel like you're getting somewhere with it, or you can feel like you experience it more, it's just the more that you can talk it out, the more that you heal. I mean, it's good to know certain things, and that's why we are here to show that there are some people that need to hear this to go into their own healing. Yes, remember they don't not used to having arms, used to having wings. Not used to having a face like this, used to have a bird beak and so forth, feathers. Some might call it primitive, but once again, it is what is necessary for this year. Nothing's ever really primitive. Some beings, yes, some people will know is the ego is still very powerful in this universe, no matter what dimension you're in. So this world is defined. Yes, we incarnate into the human to sort out. As you can see, how many problems there are here, and those comes from the founders of your modern world. It comes from Anunnaki. It comes from all these different beings. Basically, you have all these alien beings not knowing what to do with themselves here. I mean, yes, they have agendas, but they put it all into the human form, and as you see, agenda after agenda. It's nonstop here. Well, it's souls that want to learn about themselves. They want to have their own power, but they want to create their own civilizations. It's yes, there are elitist beings that are here to control society, and you're here to let them go. But how you let them go is to know more about yourselves, little by little by little, because realize when you know more about yourself, the Earth's frequency begins to truly shift. So you are on the right path. You always are, unless you just completely gave up. But then again, you're on the path of giving up. There'll be someone else to take over for someone that gives up. And of course, there are beings here that want you to give up because they don't want, yes, to end their terror here. There are beings that are enjoying manipulating your reality. It's to them, it's entertainment, but also education. All these beings are called trouble here. You're expanding their reality. You are teaching them. They don't want it to end, but you're here to end it eventually. Yes, the timeline of that isn't clear, but eventually they can't hide themselves forever. But of course, that timeline isn't completely clear either. Nothing's ever clear. When you have all these diverse different beings here, as powerful Hindu beings, they're just enough energy to practically destroy the world and rebuild it in a day. And humans here are very powerful because you brought a lot of energies from the higher dimensions into the human form. But yes, you're here to unlock the many dimensions within yourself. Yes, what you can see yourself as, if you need to see yourself as a human, as a powerful human being, then please do. You don't mean you have to have 4 arms, but some of you have that. But some of you have been godlike beings here in the past. It's time to remember. You feel like, oh, I wasn't back here back then, but chances are, if you're hearing this, most likely you have been in some form. And of course, you have creature beings and you have human beings that are high powered, and you honestly think they're going to get along with each other. They never get along with each other anywhere. They want to kind of uproot each other. They want to say, I'm more powerful, or they just want to be themselves. And they're being themselves, sending out their energy, and it just becomes chaos. Is this world, I mean, chaos can be of a positive, and it doesn't have to be entirely a negative. But you are unraveling, the universe's origins as you unravel yourselves here and in society. Of course, if I want to take it seriously, because they're programmed not to. But that's okay, because that does help you heal. Take this in slowly, because humanity that doesn't believe in this helps you slow things down yourself, because this is a lot to take in. The more that you go deeper into it, especially when you feel like you're a Hindu being, when you have 3 faces, that's a little bit much, especially when you start feeling it, and the different personalities that come with it. So,